once again, the bad luck bear sort of strikes the 49ers. How many injuries can you possibly have over and over again and just get this unlucky? But is it unluck? Like, is it just unluckiness? I mean, is there some sort of massive institutional failure happening within the 49ers organization? Because if you go back, you can look at, the amount of the injury numbers that are out there. And
the Trey Lance injury was silly. Like, I remember that. The fact they were calling that. Yeah.
PFF, like, they have some numbers, and the NFL usually runs an end of year report basically saying like the most injured impacted teams. So there's like certain statistics. I think PFF calls it a war adjusted injuries lost. So there's some numbers out there, but if you go and look over the last 8 to 10 years, the 49ers have been in the top 10 most injured teams like every single season for like a decade.
Which is more than random. Yeah, that's more than random chance.
And you say, okay, so they overhauled, like 3 years ago, they overhauled the strength and conditioning coaches, all the coaching staff in regards to that. And it hasn't seemed to make much of a difference at all. You still have these issues at QB. But it's also like early in the season, some of their struggles were from injuries on the defense. And so when they were going out there and they were struggling against the Falcons, they were not at 100%. And that's why I didn't really see them being that competitive long term, but they were just very, very injured. But that seems like it's like that every year. I think last year they were in the 2020 injury impact meta-analysis by the NFL, they were ranked dead last. So most injured. Last year, PFF ranked them, I think, dead last, like most injured last year. And so, like, to a certain extent, it is bad luck to have 4 QBs injured. But also, if you know that this is a problem and you're already on your third string, like, why is your fourth string why is your fourth string Josh Johnson, and why does he seem so unprepared? It just seemed like he was not ready to play, but you're the backup. You're supposed to be ready to play. So maybe it's on him. Maybe it's a little bit on the 49ers, but also Jimmy G is basically telling reporters that he could be ready for the Super Bowl. There's quote from Jimmy G is like, all I can't do is sprint on my foot right now. That's the only thing that's like, I cannot like full on sprint on it, which obviously if you can't sprint on your foot, you probably don't want to go play tackle football. And I understand that, but they don't even have this guy padded up. They don't even have this guy padded up and activated and ready to go. When you have these problems with injuries, I don't know. It's something that the 49ers should really start to look at. I don't know. Something's got to change, right? I don't know.
You're 100% right that they had 3 quarterbacks get season-ending injuries. If Brock Purdy got this injury week 1, if for some reason he was starting week 1, he would have been out the rest of the season. He would have been the entire season. He would have been out maybe the start of next season, depending on his recovery timeline, depending on exactly what the tear looks like. Like 3 season-ending injuries in one season. Close. I remember. Like only thing I remember close to that when you start getting that down bad for quarterbacks. I remember the Patriots. There was the season Jimmy G started some games for the Patriots way back when, where Brady was hurt. They put in Jimmy G. Jimmy G gets hurt as per usual. But he's played a lot of his career on the Niners. And then Jacoby Brissett comes in. Classic Jacoby Brissett Patriots. And he starts a couple games. Like that was the joke. Like we would joke, sports radio would joke, my dad and I would joke, now if Brissett gets hurt, they got to put in Julian Edelman at quarterback because he played it in college. Like, right. Because it was ridiculous, right? That was the joke, because like that would be so ridiculous if they lose another quarterback. And the Niners did it. The Niners lost 3 season-ending injuries on the season, and then their 4th gets hurt again. It would normally be a couple games. Like, he would have been out a couple games, even if there were a couple more games.
Yeah.
That is a sign like that. Plus the stats you just named, it does feel like a sign of a systemic thing.
And maybe it's something about,
can't just be chance.
Something about the way that the front office acquire. Yeah, you know what? They didn't draft Jimmy G. They went and got Jimmy G. Right now, he had a small history prior to coming to San Francisco, but it included injuries. They went and got Christian McCaffrey, who happened to not be injured since he's come to San Francisco, but he's only been played there for 10 or 12 games, and he has an injury history. You got to wonder if maybe they say to themselves, hey, we'll take a player that has that
they're not worried about
history, and they're not worried about it. And then it continues to bite them. Something I'd have to look into more in terms of the free agents that they're signing and stuff. Yeah. But I'm right off the bat, I see two right there offensively. Certainly McCaffrey. I said that. I said McCaffrey's probably just going to get hurt. Like as soon as they trade for him, I was like,
you said that.
But it makes sense culturally.
But because you said it, it didn't happen.
Right.
It did not happen.
You can take me, Christian. Take out the QB issues. Philadelphia had their first drive that looked like perfect. They made the San Francisco 49ers defense look like butter. I mean, they cut through it, right? And they drove down. I thought that the offense looked really good. Obviously, the Devontae Smith hurry-up TD that was not a catch, but these things happen. Kyle Shanahan should have challenged that, but he did not. The Eagles hurried up. That's sort of a gamesmanship thing. But I thought that they looked good on that first drive. After that, it really slowed down. I mean, the San Francisco defense really buckled down, and the Eagles didn't seem to be doing a whole lot, right? And then right before the end of the half, the Eagles had a drive that they really kind of grinded it out. They weren't doing anything spectacular, but Jalen Hurts was kind of taking what they gave him. They were running a little bit. They certainly got helped by penalties on San Francisco, on holding, pass interference, stuff like that. And so they basically were able to really sort of have a nice and gritty drive to go up 14-7. And then I was like, okay, like that, we've seen it a couple different ways now in this first half, how they can score on these drives. I'm feeling pretty comfortable, especially considering what's going on at QB for San Fran. And then it just broke open when the fumble happened. And then that was it. Right. Yeah. And then he's out and then it's over.
What's my more neutral take? And this is where it's not negative towards them, but it's more just like, I feel like I can't really get much out of this game. And I can't get much out of this game. I mean, for the obvious reason, we kind of talked a bit, but to go into detail, I mean, it's not like their defense had to do all that much. I mean, like what we saw, they were able to shut down elite Josh Johnson, which I say that sarcastically, but there can be something there because maybe we would have expected him to be ready, but it's not like that's like he's not a starter. He's a fourth string dude. So I can't really get much there. But I mean, the first drive with Purdy, that kind of forced fumble-y thing, whatever that, I remember the play and they challenged it. Well, a good challenge and so on. But after that, Purdy's out. And then for me at that point, I can't make much of their defense. I mean, they were able because I mean, think about it. Normally when a team has a quarterback, does not have a quarterback, it is hard for them to win. The Patriots did it against the Bills, right? They had Mac Jones throw 3 times. But what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to I can't congratulate the Eagles on being better than the Bills defense from last year, the defense that gave up a field goal in 13 seconds, right? In the AFC divisional. I can't I can't really think too much about that. And offensively, and I said there were some positives, and I did, and I do mean it, and the receiving threats look good, and I've liked Jalen Hurts all season, right? And like I said earlier, I'm rooting for them. I don't want to seem too negative, but a lot of their drives were extended on, well, that catch that should have been challenged. I agree that it should have been challenged. And if I was the coach, I would have challenged it. But I don't blame them too much from the standpoint of I feel like the refs have to shut down stuff, shut some things down more, especially when that's a tough catch to make. I would have said, okay, call it one way, and then the refs can initiate reviews, I thought, on their own. I would have preferred that because that was on a 4th down. It wasn't like that was a 3rd down. Maybe they go for it. Maybe they punt. That was a 4th down. That I think's big to extend that drive. There were other drives. They had a drive extended with a roughing the punter. I think I'm not mixing up games. A roughing the punter that probably should have been running into the punter or something, which would have been a difference of a free first down. I felt like there were some ticky-tacky calls called on the Bengals defense. Of course, some of that are genuine because that's what I meant to say. Yeah, on the 49ers defense, called against the 49ers, which some of that I'm sure is real, and it is real that they had to play a bit harder, right? Because they're afraid, wait, we have no quarterback, we have to play our hearts out. But even before, there was this even before Josh Johnson got hurt, I felt like there were some ticky-tacky calls. And you kind of mentioned it too. There's a pass interference. There's some stuff. I don't have it all written down. But they just had a lot of drives where it'd be, okay, they fail a third down, but then they have 5-yard defensive holding that wouldn't have really mattered that gives them a new first down. Or there were just a fair amount of calls that I'm sure you can call, but I wasn't a big fan of the officiating. It didn't mean anything, right? The Eagles were going to win it because the Eagles, even I would have said with a quarterback, I like the 49ers more. I called them, but I'm not such a hater that I'm going to say that the Eagles aren't better than a Josh Johnson 49ers team.